Hey everybody, I'm making a little introduction. I wanted to share the Leprechaun experience I had. I did this as a mystery workshop on Patreon, and it was just such a cool message. I connected with 5 different Leprechaun clans, Leprechaun families, in order to get to know the Leprechaun energy more and what their unique gifts are to humanity. And obviously, we don't know, are leprechauns evil? Are they mischievous? Are they real? I just absolutely loved the experience I had because it was so balanced with nature and it was so timeless and supportive of the human race. It just really moved me. I feel like it's the type of message, is the type of energy we all need to have access to, and I really want to share it with all of you on YouTube. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these kinds of experiences on Patreon. If you're interested in joining in, please consider subscribing, and you can learn more when you visit my Patreon page at patreon.com/Abbey Normal's Wisdom Quest. All right, I'm going to be tying in my Leprechaun experience now, so I hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for your love and support here on YouTube. I'm going to get started here. So I guarantee I am probably not going to be pronouncing these right because I don't have that like Irish twang, like understanding how to but I'm going to say Leinster, Ulster, Meath, Connaught. I guarantee I'm getting this wrong, and Munster. But we're going to work with as best we can here, okay? And I'm going to visit the Leinster clan first. And let's see what they're like and what wisdom they would like to share with all of us. Gosh. Okay. All right. Are we ready for this or what? Okay. So here we go. Okay. Okay. This is the experience that comes to me. And I do feel like I'm getting smaller. But the perspective isn't so much about being big or being small. It's more just about existing. But I feel like I'm moving through kind of a dark, maybe like a energetic doorway, and it's kind of thin. I'm just moving through this dark doorway, but then I become part of what is a tree that is rotting in the forest. It's just a broken down, like I can see how this tree is full of nutrients and full of good material to help the forest thrive, the ground thrive, nature thrive. And so I'm just small, and I'm standing on this broken down tree, and it's been working its nature's been working its magic. I can see that the tree is breaking down, and that it's a really good thing. It's a really wonderful, enriching gift of a thing. And I feel really happy and spirited to be standing on this tree. This tree represents a gift. And so this dead tree is nourishing and creating life force for the forest. And this dead tree is a gift. So a gift, this dead tree is a gift. It keeps really emphasizing, really wanting us to understand that, really wanting to understand how much of this energy of the dead tree is just so important. It's such a gift, such a blessing. And so I'm just standing on it still, and I'm receiving this experience. I'm going to pause for a moment and just see what comes next. Okay. I'm sitting down, and it's like I'm having a conversation about time. And I start to realize that the fact that this tree isn't going to like biodegrade for a long time, it's going to be a Thanksgiving feast. It's going to be an abundant feast. And believe it or not, it feels like it has the gift to be an abundant feast for years to come. And that the forest will not go hungry. Literally, the feeling is a Thanksgiving dinner, the forest will not go hungry. I can't see beyond. I just experienced this one tree, and I experienced myself standing on it. But what is sad, I represent something that is expressing a sadness from my heart. As I sit down, I am expressing something of sadness, and it has to do with time. And what echoes back is this tree will feed the forest for years to come. And so then I'm asking what is talking to me, and why do I feel sad about time? And where is this odd emotional state coming from? What is it trying to say? And why this scene? And I really cherish this message. Is so swift and so useful, and it's a really good perspective on things. You don't think of how what a gift a dead tree is. You don't think of it like that. It seems maybe off topic, I say. And I ask what is here, sort of this consciousness communicating with us. I ask what it understands, why is it that I'm observing an aspect of myself sitting down and expressing this? Why is it like this? What does this mean? Why is this what's coming from me? Ah, so this is the leprechaun consciousness, the Leinster leprechaun consciousness. Is paralleling how there's a conflict for the human race um, about life and death, and about the abundance of death, and basically the balance of nature. And so there's something about the scene and how I'm learning energetically from the scene about the balance of nature. And then I'm taking it back to our conversation here and my experience as a human being on earth today, and I am understanding that there is something amiss about the balance of the nature of, you could say, society, or human nature, or human the mind of the human, or the emotion of the human. There's something about the human that somehow is a lack in parallel to this joyous event of the dead tree. And I ask how I could be in balance with the nature. How could I be, how can I share that understanding with those watching? How can we start to parallel this joyous occasion? So we can, I guess you could say, enhance, mend, harmonize our vibration to match. So I'm asking this Leinster Leprechaun family, this collective consciousness, I'm asking them what they have to say about that. They say, become the dead tree and you will know. So I move my consciousness into the dead tree, which is so strange because it's not dead at all. It seems to be part of everything that consumes it. I see the tree, somehow its consciousness is moving into the insects, it's moving into the soils, it's moving into the air, it's moving into the roots of other trees, it's moving into, it's having a collective experience. And I'm starting to understand how important that I am in all stages of life. And how important I am even in the experience of, I guess you could say, through the human lens. There are those of us who don't understand what happens after death, and the mystery of life and death and all of that. Those of us who can conceive of it, who have an idea, who have I guess a spiritual capacity to feel safe or comfortable with the life cycle process. But either way, we aren't dead yet. You know what I mean? And so until we're dead, we can't really fully recall it. What is going to exactly happen, but we have a hunch about it, you know? And that is also wonderful. It's okay that we're a bit blinded to the truth of everything. Because when I become this tree, when I move my consciousness into this tree, it's surreal to feel as though I'm not dead at all, but I'm actually more alive than I've ever been. Because my energy, or my essence, or my structure is being given as a gift to the fulfillment of other life cycles. And now I'm part of other life cycles that I feel more consciously connected to than ever before. And it's like so rich with treasure. It's so rich with like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. This is so rich. And when I bring that back to my human self, and then I share this experience with all of you, I start to understand it's like the gift that keeps on giving is what creates real wealth. What creates genuine wealth. The dead tree in the forest is what creates genuine wealth. That is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, is the dead tree in the forest. And that is where the conflict is coming from, is the human that is trying to comprehend the location of the true wealth. And it is in how they are giving of themselves during their life cycle and even at the end of their life cycle. And there's always a sense that we are always in a place of giving terror even. It's like, but giving love too. And there's some kind of abundance when we are giving to the life cycle, not the death cycle. We are giving to the life cycle. That's when everybody wins. That's when everybody wins. Abundance. And that is what we need not forget, is where the abundance really comes from, where the wealth really comes from, is giving to the life cycle. Even in death, giving to the life cycle. And I feel this beautiful eyes and rosy cheeks kind of thing. A really big smile and a heart of gold. And I also feel the heart of gold is like a ray of sunshine. And not to forget to laugh, and it's like be full of laughter and joy and camaraderie even is part of how we grow with each other. I see a sense of dancing, a sense of music, a sense of I don't know, teasing each other, and it actually makes life more rich. Is joyful laughter and poking fun and being okay with it, but knowing you can poke back. And it seems like cleverness and wit and humor and camaraderie is a spice of life. It is not a death cycle. It is a life cycle. And it reminds us to keep smiling. And it reminds us of the simple joys is where the real wealth and abundance exists. And he says this, it seems like one in particular that's talking to me, but I can feel the presence of a consciousness. But please don't forget, you don't have to forget this conversation. Like, remember the dead tree in the woods, and you will remember this conversation. If ever there's a time where you feel more like the death cycle in your mind or in your emotions, remember the life cycle. And you will remember the life cycle when you think about the dead tree in the woods. And you will remember this conversation, and it is always there for you, always. And there's just a lot of love that is being expressed here, and I feel kind of emotional about it, because it feels like family is everywhere. Like nobody's alone ever, and that your family is everywhere. There's something really beautiful about the way that this feels, the way that it feels. That was really worth it. I'm gonna go visit the Ulster Leprechaun clan. We'll see if there's any difference. Maybe they all emanate the same kind of meaning. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna relax, and then we're gonna see what these Ulster leprechauns are like. Okay. Oh man. Okay, I think of immediately I'm thinking of the Smurfs, but I'm thinking of I think his name is Gilgamesh. And there seems to be a dead forest actually on purpose. Like the trees are made out of like they're thorny like rose bush, but there's nothing growing on these thorny trees. They have thorny branches and a thorny body. Like they're black wood. It's just a dark, kind of almost cartoonesque, scary kind of forest. And then through these trees, you'll see there's an opening and everything is dark. It's almost like even in the day, it is night. And there's a castle, and there's kind of this Gilgamesh type energy, this like laughing man who is joyous and being hurtful, and it's more than just trying to wipe out the Smurfs. It's like about everything in a way. Just joyous in the death cycle, but it doesn't reference death cycle. It just showcases is joyous in creating darkness, basically, in suffering, darkness of the mind and the heart, darkness in someone's well-being, like a shadow cast upon their well-being. And so the Ulster leprechauns are just showing me the scene right now. And they ask me, would you ever want to go there? This is an important question. And some part of me says, well, yes, of course I would. Because what echoes to me is that we have to go there. Because any place that is in darkness, we have to go in there and turn it into the light. Because there's something about a human being who becomes so dark themselves that wants to spread an infection of darkness. Their mirror is been compromised, and that then becomes very influential. That we have to go into these dark places. We have to. We can't be like, ooh, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm just gonna walk the other way where it's still sunny over here. We have to face these problems. We have to not be intimidated by them, and we have to not be afraid to enter into the non-safe zone, okay? And the Ulsters are saying that there's no such thing, that the non-safe zone is actually inside, the human contains it. They're actually the embodiment of it, but they're trying to emanate the sound or the frequency, and so it is expanding. And so it's actually whatever they are the non-safe zone, but the dead trees and this dark patch, and it's night even in the day, and the dark castle doesn't represent that actually. It's actually still a safe zone. This human is trying to create the effect as though keep out, but the one thing they're actually whispering is please help me. But we are going to say, oh, well, they're saying keep out, so I'm just going to keep out. But really what they're saying is help me, because they can't help themselves. That is why it has gotten like this, because they can't help themselves. So we actually have to go into their we have to go into their discomfort. We have to go into these spaces, which is not, it isn't having anything to do with us. It has to do with them. And so the non-safe zone is just them inside of themselves. And the one thing they want is help, but the one thing they can't give themselves is help. So we have to help them. We actually have to, because it's almost like if a baby were thrown in a dumpster screaming for help, would we just walk by and say, not our problem? That's a really easy answer. Of course we would go help that baby immediately. But what if it's a full-grown adult? And that full-grown adult is now it's like we have to invade this space, because there is a seems to be um like we saw with the Leinsters, this conversation about the life cycle. And that is the balance of nature. That is when nature is in balance, is when we remember the life cycle and where true wealth comes from. But when that becomes tarnished somehow, or the mirror becomes cast a shadow upon it, and then we become the shadow of the world, that is not the balance of nature, actually. That is the death cycle trying to be the life cycle. And so it's out of balance. So we have to intervene. We have to go into these spaces. And that's what he's showing me. Okay. I mean, there's different tiers of society. Could we actually walk into the White House and do this? I mean, I'm going to ask him questions like, because we can tell that there are definite shadows in very specific locations, and it is like there are armed military guards. Like, how are we supposed to really invade these shadow spaces? So I just want to get feedback on this. I think it's a really powerful vision, and it's true. Nobody can argue with this. This is true. This is true. And he says that that's okay. He shows me again the trees that are full of thorns, protecting, right? This dark environment in the scary dark castle. But this is to create proof that it's not safe, right? But the Ulsters are saying that the non-safe zone is actually within the human that is become full of shadow. And it's like they are unsafe to themselves. They now are unsafe to others. And we have to manage this immediately. This is interesting timing, because I was just talking to a friend, and they were mentioning about, I think his name is Caesar Malone or Milan or something, the dog whisperer. But he talks about how if there's a dog that's kind of lost its sanity, you could say, and they bring it into the dog pack will help to train that dog how to come back into its nature or its balance again. And then they just move forward. They don't hold on to the past. They don't think less of the dog because of how it came into the pack. They just help it get to where it needs to be, and the dog pack moves forward. And so there's something important about this when it comes to society and human beings, and how we can actually solve our problems. We can learn from the dog pack on how to work through our own human problems. And so we shouldn't be afraid of the dog that's lost its mind, like the human that lost its mind or something. It fell into the death cycle as a life cycle. No, we need to be the dog pack of loyal companions to one another, and put that other human, guide them back to nature, guide them back to their balance. This isn't a cult. This isn't some sort of spiritual, like, Fruit Loops or something. This is just nature. We're just talking about nature here. And nature is a solid. Nature is a solid. You can see nature and it is consistent. Maybe it's a longer winter or a drier summer, but you know approximately the winter months and the spring months and the summer months and all that. Like, you have an idea of when to plant and when to harvest. Like, you have you know how to plant the seed and how it's going to grow and what's going to help it grow or not help it grow. Like, nature has a predictability about it. Even if it can be unpredictable, it still has a consistency. And that nature is teaching us how to find the balance inside ourselves. And the Ulsters are talking to us about this. Those military guards are just the thorny trees, trying to create the not safe zone. That the not safe zone is the person, not the military guards, actually. That's what the Ulsters are saying. It's not the fences. It's not the guards. That's what they're saying. You can say whatever you want, but that's what they're saying. And because we can't forget that we are all people. Military guards are just people in a uniform with a gun. And we can still hug them, and we can still talk to them. And we can treat them as the safe zone. And that's true. That's what he's showing me. I say, okay, I want to see more about this. Could you take this a step further? I'd like to witness you show me how it's done. he smiles and he creates a hot dog stand outside of the trees. And he starts to sell hot dogs, and he brings in balloons, and he brings in an ice cream, little ice cream cart. And then there's another person that starts to build a huge amusement park, and they encourage families from all over the world to come here. And they teach about animals, and they teach about nature. They teach, and it's also fun. And there's games that, again, laughter, music, dancing, and poking fun are super important to the well-being of human nature, mind, and emotions. It's important that we use our minds and our emotions to create laughter and reasons to be funny with each other. It's important, it's healthy. And I start to see that this energy in its safe zone that it created is getting really angry, and it's wanting to shout, and it's wanting to tear all this down. But there's so many people in favor of this sunshine that is starting to be built here that nobody even cares about that person and all their banter. And that person is going to be reminded every single day about the ice cream and the balloons and the hot dogs and the amusement park and the families and the gardens now that are starting to be built, and the house and the neighborhoods of children playing outside. And then he shows me and he shows me and he shows me, and it's like a little bit of passion and heart, a little bit of like elbow grease. It's almost like the best way in is just right outside. It's almost like showcase what love looks like, showcase love in action, showcase the bringing in of really positive energy, happiness, amusement, and human nature at its brightest form. And this, you will see that this shadow will cease to exist. Either it will heal from the inside out, or it will move elsewhere. But wherever it moves, we do the same thing. We keep doing the same thing. We keep bringing in more happiness, more smiles, because the world needs to be like, the foundation needs to be the memory of what creates joy. What creates joy has to be the foundation. That's what the Ulsters are saying. That's pretty legit, man. That's pretty cool, actually. Okay, so we have the Meath leprechauns. Man, I wonder what they have to say. I mean, this is like solutions of the world today, you know? Okay. Meath leprechauns. Okay. Okay, this man, I'll say this is so strange. Energetically, I feel like energy's coming towards me, and I feel like a little disoriented between my third eye and my throat into my heart, just like a little crack. But in the scene, I actually see myself moving into a very small space, like a little crack in the wall. And I feel disoriented about this. I feel a bit stuck even. I feel like it's not easy to move through here. And okay. This is what they're wanting to tell us. Okay, are you ever afraid of getting stuck? And are you ever afraid that if you get stuck, there will be nobody there to help you? Because I'm starting to discover the experience of being stuck in a wall. I'm literally stuck in a crack in the wall, and I can't go forward and I can't go backward. And I'm convinced that nobody is going to come, nobody is going to care, and people are just going to care about themselves. And the Mead clan is wanting to ask us, do we care when each other is stuck? And it's interesting because we were talking about people stuck in poverty, and we just walk on by. And there seems to be a challenge here within human nature to know how to help other human beings. Because there seems to be sometimes the hand reaching out for help is the hand that pulls you into their problems. And so how do you actually properly help somebody? And they're talking about, these Meads are kind of talking like the Ulsters in a way about how this too is a cloud. This is a dark place in our society, and how important it is that we keep bringing in the sensation of helping hands, helpful people. That doesn't mean that you have to do all the work, because I see that there's people in poverty, and they have to, you have to inspire them to remember the power that exists within inside themselves. And maybe you give them a smile, or you give them a hug, and you tell them they don't have to be on the street, that they can find a way out. Just even planting a seed of acknowledgement seems to be something, because it takes it back to the hot dog stand and the ice cream and the balloons, and people see things that they might decide are out of reach. But if we can find a way to give people a little bit of a reach of something that is a personal joy, it makes them a little bit hungrier to have access to that somehow or another. This is a big this is a big problem. And it's going back to me stuck in the wall. And now I'm starting to understand that it's not just about a kind of situation where, how are you going to help a poor person out of poverty without pulling yourself into their problems? Sometimes we just have to focus on the best we can do for ourselves. And that then could be the next problem for our society, for instance. But we're kind of without answers, because we put, okay, I'm just going to stop here, because the next thing is this, me being stuck in a wall is a representation of how we feel stuck to solve the problems in our world. And we don't feel like anybody is going to be there to really help the problems in our world. So this is yet another level of, we are stuck. Like everything feels like it is stuck, because you could say that we've been depending upon the government to be able to do the studies, work with the intelligent people to really understand the human nature on a level that's actually going to provide solutions. Because we weren't all born to be the solution to poverty. Some of us were born to just build houses. And some of us were born to be awesome cooks, and some of us were born to garden, and some of us were born to work on a farm, and some of us were born to, I don't know, do the accounting. But you could take all these people and put them to good use in a community to actually help everybody get something out of life, you know? That's what creates a community. But we all have to be working at, you know, it's almost like we gave the power to thinking that the government was going to help out, but now it's in our hands to figure this stuff out, and we're all just like flailing like fish on a hook, and we have no idea how to get off the hook. But the whole thing seems to be stuck in a wall, and that's what the Meads are showing us. So, but they're really they're very vibrationally, they seem like the ones to talk to when you're in a pickle. And because they seem to like to use their minds inquisitively. Like I keep experiencing, like, I love a tough puzzle. I love an unsolvable puzzle. I love the impossible knot that you'll never be able to untie. Like there's a sense that I love these impossible situations. So I'm listening to the sound of wheels turning in the mind in order to figure out the perfect solution to this. And it's interesting because they're showing me, the Meads are showing me, the Leinsters are reminding you about nature and about how nature works, the life cycle, and how important it is that where true wealth comes from, and that we are representation of that abundance for each other. And then these Ulsters are showcasing how you can undermine a shadow by just bringing the sunshine right outside its front door, and it can't do anything to you, because you're actually doing something that empowers people, makes people happy, and they will protect that. And they will not protect the jerk who wants to snuff it out. So that's already being clever, right? But these Meads seem to be a next level, like cleverness. So they seem to be the wheels turning. So let me see what they come out with. one of the strange ideas is this, to keep I feel myself stuck in a wall. It represents all kinds of stuck situations, but it's the decision is to keep the person in the wall, keep them stuck. And so I experienced myself crying, and I am going through a strange process. I'm going through a process of feeling defeated, hating myself, hating the situation, hating God. Like, because I'm stuck, I'm in a difficult predicament. I'm pinched and I can't get unpinched. I can't get out of this. There's no solution. So I'm going through these weird, like, psychological phases, emotional phases, of actually crying and crying and crying and crying and crying about how hard this situation is. And the Meads are silently nodding like, wow, they're really they're witnessing, they're witnessers of this event, of the suffering that is going on, not because it makes them happy. They're actually deeply compassionate right now. And I'm crying and I'm venting about how I feel like I'm out of answers. I can't get the answers. Sometimes Abby, do feel this way, like either I could be thinking about my personal life, but I could be thinking about the world, because I don't know if I don't know how to help. Like, I know that it is so simple for the human race to thrive and for it to be a glorious world that we all share with each other, and we enjoy the discovery of each other. We enjoy the sharing of ideas and perspectives, and we need each other to complete the puzzle. But there's this desperate need to keep us separated, to keep us divided, for us to not be thinking for ourselves, to not train, to not for the most skilled of the human race to be the ones that are most promoted. It's like the problems of the world are what is amplified, not the skilled human beings and the amazing things they're doing to make it a better planet should be the things that are amplified. So it's like, but it makes me feel so frustrated that this is the best the world can be. It's just, it's pathetic. And I feel like, how can I, this one person, like, change the world? I can't just do it. Like, Elon Musk is a very good example of somebody who is trying with all their might, whether you agree with him or don't agree with him. He really is trying to protect freedom of speech. He is trying to come up with some kind of solution, whether you like electric vehicles or not. He is trying to come up with some kind of solution that would move us inventively to a new level of self-discovery. He's just one person. He's one piece of a puzzle. There's those of us who love, are more not as attracted to the inventions as we are attracted to, I don't know, nature, as we are attracted to psychology, as we're attracted to spirituality. And so you have to appreciate people who are trying. And it feels to me that the people that are trying are the ones that the ones who aren't trying, they're wanting to break it all down. The death cycle, the shadow people are wanting to break people like Elon Musk down and make them look bad. And then you just absorb that. And it's just like, oh, that jerk, just rich guy doesn't care about anything. Where's that coming from? It's not coming from inside of you. It was just some sort of absorption from, the Gilgamesh castle or something. And so this, I see this and I see how the world is getting so lost that I vent about this. And so these Meads are compassionate. They hear the sound of us crying when we are pinched. They hear the sound of us saying, why is it like this? This is hard. And it feels like there are no solutions. It feels like there is no help. I don't even know how to help myself. And so they hear us and they nod and they actually start to sing. And they sound kind of like they remind me of the dwarves and the Lord of the Rings when they actually sing that. It's a really cool song, and they're all men like humming at different tones, and then there's a song that is sung and it's really freaking deep. And they kind of start to sing a song like this. It's a song of vibration, and that vibration is actually heard. And I'm an example here, stuck in the wall. I'm actually receiving it inside myself without conscious awareness. But they're healing me. They're healing me, because we will all have to go through the feeling of being stuck. in somewhere, some way, and unable to get unstuck. And that to let ourselves receive their song because their song is the solution to what we are going through. It's what we are going through. It's their song will be the solution to what we are going through. And it's no doubt that we are going to feel defeated. And we are going to feel like we are up against an impossible mountain. And that the mountain has already broken us before we could even start climbing. And not to forget the power of the song. And not to forget, like, the power of each other. And not to forget the power of what the Leinsters have said and the Ulsters have said. And not to forget about that. And the song is within us. The song of each other, the song of the life cycle, the song of the ice cream cones and the hot dog stands, and the balloons and the amusement parks, the laughing children, the joy, the genuine joy. That is so ridiculously powerful. It's so ridiculously powerful. I'm starting to realize that these leprechauns work with really sound. Because the sound of where abundance really comes from and where real wealth comes from, there's a sound to it that is no sound at all. It's like a song. It's like the song of the dead tree that is giving of itself that never actually died. It is so wealthy, it is so rich, and it's musical without being a song at all. The song and the sound of you know what, I'm gonna set up a hot dog stand right here, right outside your front door, Gilgamesh. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make people happy, and you're gonna look at me every single day while I do this to help remind you of who you really are. You are the joy of this hot dog stand that is giving to others. Like, you're the joy of the ice cream cones for the kids. You are the joy of these balloons, reminding me of Caesar Milan and what helps correct the dog nature within the dog pack. You know what I mean? And we're correcting the natures in each other by bringing the reminder, which is actually, yeah, visual image, but it's full of sound. It's the sound that corrects. It's the sound that corrects this whole thing, and to let the sound of these meads come and help us. So when we feel pinched, when we feel stuck, and they're compassionate and they hear us cry when we don't know what to do. And that's interesting because they are problem solvers, but what's interesting is their solution is to be compassionate and to sing for us. That is really cool. That is. Oh, so it was Meath. So Leinster, Ulster, Meath, and now I've got these Connaught. I don't know, I'm not sure, but all right, let's see what they want to tell us here. Okay. Weird. I feel like I'm in a strange world that's full of salt and everything is white and dry, and it's like salt that's packed creates a ground and it sparkles and it's just like salt. It's kind of a surreal environment made out of salt. And I'm just um I don't know what to make of it. Even the air, it's not like I can't breathe this air. It's not, but it's got kind of a taste to it. But it's not like the air is full of salt. It's just, but it's got like a kind of a taste to it. And everything's white everywhere and it does sparkle, so it's kind of interesting looking. Okay. This is also this is hitting me. It's kind of takes my breath away. I feel like my brain is kind of pulsating. There's it's disorienting. It's hard to talk about it. I feel like there's a human body that is somehow integrated into this salt place. And their heart is kind of oversized and turning black, and it's trying with all of its might to keep pumping the blood. and there's lots of salt. It's like, and it's really sad to see this, that this human being is so full of salt. And they're so full of salt. Like I keep looking and I just say, "Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God." Like they're so full of salt. It's just, that's what keeps emanating here. And I'm terrified by it. I'm actually terrified, like worst nightmare. And this human is still, their heart is like barely able to keep going, but it keeps going, impressively so. And they just, more salt, more salt, more salt, more salt, more salt, more salt, more salt. It's like, how much more salt can this human body take? How much more salt? It's not good. This is not good. And I see that these leprechauns, this Connaught leprechauns are okay, they show me a needle, like a sewing needle. And there's a group of them, like 10. And they have backpacks, like they're gonna go climbing. But it's weird because there's a distortion of the scene and they poke what is the air and it pops, but it's like a huge energetic bubble that built up that wasn't quite visible, associated with this human and the function of their body. And that bubble was, I can't explain, but this is very emotionally hard. Like, it's a nightmare. It's, I think this would be akin to watching your child develop a heroin addiction. To know it, to witness it, and to watch them slowly but surely kill themselves. And it's absolutely horrifying. And this is like a similar scenario where I feel a sense of it's just absolutely unbearable to witness this human eating, consuming all of this salt. And it's saddening. It's like these Connaught leprechauns are witnessing us harming ourselves greatly, and they care for us like parents care for their children. Like they deeply care for us. And that popping of the bubble is like it's important. I don't understand all the importance of it, but I need to keep watching and translating the meaning of it. Okay, they show me that now that the bubble is popped, they put down this needle and they wait. And they show me that in between worlds, they show me that this human being is sort of scattered. And they're trying to help this human being collect themselves. And they do have aspects that are scattered in different dimensions that are kind of intertwined with one dimension. And it's like a balloon that popped and actually blew into several pieces that blew into several different dimensions. And they're helping this human collect themselves. And the human can't remember themselves, therefore they can't find what it is that they lost. They can't find it in order to retrieve it, in order to revive or rebirth the memory of their true nature. They're scattered. And these Connaught leprechauns, they go in groups of like 10. It's just, they show me that there's like 10 of them. They all have backpacks and they travel together in these groups to help one human being to gather what is like 8 parts and return it to this one human being that was destroying themselves with food, basically. To try to help one human being. And they show me how important their lives are to helping even one person. And they all silently nod at each other, and they nod at the messages of their brethren. And they tell us that this is what love is. This is what love is where you go to great lengths to help one person return to themselves again. But it's like you don't ever do it alone. You do it with a group of others, and you work together as a group to help one. And as you help that one, you'll start to see the gratitude. It's like they will be grateful, but there seems to be a light returning in their eyes. And it's like that is the task. That is the task. And it's an important task. It's an important task. And I'm just gonna watch them for a little bit. Sometimes these leprechauns get very weary and very tired. They get very overwhelmed. That's why they need each other, because some of them I see kind of start to sway and they start to cry, and then others they all stop, and then they all work together to repair each other in the journey of repairing a single human. And they will do it because that is their task. Like they feel that that is their calling or their purpose. And what's interesting is when you are aware of their existence and you call out to them purposefully, like Connaught leprechauns, thank you for being and helping my fellow brothers and sisters on earth. If you feel inspired, I could use your help instantaneously, and that you valuing the task that they value most, and it's an exchange of gratitude. Like their life purpose, that they value their life purpose, they value the task of their life purpose. And when you value them and put their purpose to work, like they're grateful. There's this certain vibration of gratitude that makes them really strong and makes them really capable of helping us. And they're really at the task of helping human beings one at a time, even. And I'm convinced there must be lots and lots of these leprechauns, but it really wants to showcase one human at a time. And how when we thank them personally, they get really bright and really strong. It's good to remember the leprechauns. It's really good to remember them and to be grateful for them. Not to think of them as mischievous jerks, but actually see them as real genuine helpers of humanity, and bringing the memory back to us about what creates balance in our nature, in our society, within and around us, that they are here to help us not forget, and that we can work with them to keep aligning with it. And they're here to help us, like through song, through happiness, through dancing and music and memory and all of this. So that's what I see about these guys. All right, this is our last leprechaun clan, is the Munster clan. Okay. Okay. Weird. I feel it's interesting because the energy I put out and the energy that comes back, I feel disoriented and tired. And there's rings specifically in the picture. I witnessed myself, but I'm kind of like a represent kind of just a blob, but I'm a human blob, I guess. I don't know, I'm like a energy representation. And there's like rings on the third eye that go what, like rings that come out, and then energy that comes in. And so this is my first experience, and I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what any of it means. So let's see what comes next. This is the next weird. This is about water, and I experience myself as, it doesn't matter my form. It doesn't matter if I am it's almost like I could be a strange mound of I don't know, dog poop with some leaves in it. It's weird. Like I could be a bunch of pile of rocks. I could be a tombstone. I could be a tree. I could be I could be strange compost pile. I don't know. It's really associated with something of stone or earth or nature of some kind. Like it's not it's actually part of nature somehow. Like even a walnut or something like this. And I experience myself as a something, and I'm partially in water and I'm partially out of water. And again, there's a sense that everything is a bit like a blanket of the dark is kind of over and around everything. But I also feel like I'm a frog, and I'm a frog that's in kind of a mucky swamp, and I'm just being still with my eyes out of the water and my nose out of the water. But I'm just in the water and I'm out of the water, and I'm being still. And there's a conflict between okay, I'll just tell you it like this. When I really felt part of the frog, something didn't feel like I was completely at peace. Suddenly I transform into a fish and I am swimming as fast as I can, and I'm swimming into a place specifically where I could hide. Then I can't find that place, and that makes me scared. So I transform into a rock, but I still feel as though I'm too visible. So I want to be able to turn into a clam that is able to go and kind of sneak under the ground, like under the sand, so to speak. But this is a swamp, obviously. But I want to keep transforming into something that is more, it's like more and more and more and more and more and more and more hidden, hidden. And I don't like the feeling of being exposed at any level, at any layer of what exposure could be. So I snap my fingers and I don't allow this experience of like safety and security to happen. And my guides say, "Well, why?" And I say, "Well, what is the purpose of hiding forever? Forever." And then hiding even further than the previous hiding, and then hiding even further than that, and hiding even further than that, and hiding, because you will be forever and ever 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 trying to hide from something even more so, even more so, even more so, even more so. So you're creating the idea again and again and again that there's something to hide from, therefore I must hide. Well, now I'm not hiding good enough, and that somebody could find me. So then I gotta hide from whoever that somebody might be, and I gotta go even further because they might find me by doing this, and oh my gosh. So it just keeps, it's just like this never-ending pile up. It's forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I feel that it's only progressively like this, it's a balloon that keeps filling up and filling up. Eventually it's gonna pop. Like there's no, it doesn't need to keep hiding. But it seems to me that what echoes back is to let that energy hide. Just let it hide and be okay with it hiding. So I say, okay. So I let that go, and I let it continue to go, 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 go. And then it just starts to cry in agony because it's like it doesn't like that I can always see it. I can always see where it goes, what it becomes forever. It can't hide from me. And I say, well, are you the Munster leprechauns? You like to hide? You don't like to be seen by anybody? Is that true? I actually want to get to know you, and I'm not trying to capture you, and I'm not trying to do anything other than to learn from you. And what I'm learning is that you can truly take on the form or representation of anything in nature, and you don't want to be discovered for who you are. but I'm not trying to take you away from you, or I'm not trying to take something from you, and I'm not trying to hurt you. I actually just want to learn from you. I want you to be you, and then I would like to get to know you as you are. And I can't get to know you if you're afraid of me or if you're running away all the time. So I just reach out my hand and I say that you don't have to come out of hiding, and I'm sorry that I did that. It needs time to think, actually. It seems to me that there's some kind of trauma in this collective. Like, this collective may have tried to actually be present in with human beings, and it didn't go over well because human beings wanted to have something that you can't have a leprechaun. Can't have a leprechaun. You can't have people. You can say that you know you have kids and you have a husband or a wife or whatever. You have a dog, but you don't have them. They're just an enrichment of your life, that they're free to be whoever they want to be, to come and go if that's what they please. Like, you give complete and utter freedom to the people that you love, and they give you complete and utter freedom as well. And that's what real love is, because you can't ever have people. You can't have leprechaun. Even if you put it in a prison and it could never leave, you never have it, because you don't really have anything. I see these leprechaun needs. What echoes to me about this specific leprechaun group is a lot of, I'm actually bringing them towards their leprechaun family members, and I'm bringing that collective energy that is a kind of like fearful, and I'm bringing them back to the Leicesters and the Meads, Meaths, and all these guys, the Leinster, Ulster, Meath, Connaughts. I'm bringing them back to their family members. Vibrationally, it's not about, this is the message. This is the message we need to know about. This is a very classic kind of leprechaun concept, where if you catch the leprechaun, they have to tell you where their gold is. Like, this is a very classic kind of leprechaun story. But the energy here is that represents fearful of humans and doesn't want to be seen. Represents being harmed. And so I want to mend that somehow. So I'm bringing in these collective energies to help. I feel this Munster is has a certain level of courage, and the decision to actually try to help human beings really in a physical way, and maybe that was part of them. Maybe they were meant to be more physical than other leprechauns, but that was a gift. That was important. And so I placed them with these Leinsters and the dead tree in the woods. But they don't seem to get along with the Leinsters, because I see that um they're just like dead tree in the woods, like teasing, like, of course you people would be saying that. I'm like, okay. And so I'm gonna put them towards this like the next guy, the Ulster guys, and the Gilgamesh. I actually feel a little bit more like they want an ice cream cone and a hot dog. And they're taking the ice cream cones and the hot dogs now, and they're thinking of ways that they can I don't know, like craftily They want the hot dogs and the ice cream cones. That's all I know. They're just like, yes, ice cream cones and hot dogs. Mine, 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 mine. And but what's interesting, the Ulster's like, of course, and we have more, and we have more, and we have more, and we have more. Mine, 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 mine. It's like, okay, maybe I should be putting these groups with each other. It seems like the first four are, I don't know, level-headed or something. Okay, let's see what these Meaths with the singing and humming, you know? They really don't like these Meaths. They don't want to go near them because there's something about that sound that actually is what they need to hear. They're avoiding that sound. And I tell them, well, you start to remind me of the Gilgamesh. Because is that how Gilgamesh undermines then the Ulsters, is goes and just starts buying up everything, like taking everything until there's nothing left. And the Ulsters are convinced that they always have nothing but more to give, and that you can never take everything because there is nothing, there's always more to give. And so I allow these Munsters to hear the song of the Meaths, and they start to turn to stone and they crack, and weird brown dust comes out, and they start to move like little insects on the ground. And they're struggling with something. They're struggling with something big. And I collect all this and I place it into the hands of these Meaths because the song really is helping them. Then I place the sand in the hands of the Ulsters and into the hands of the Leinsters, because I'm starting to realize these leprechauns are here to heal the Munsters. The Munsters are like this off branch that needs to receive the love of the family and is kind of struggling alone and kind of losing themselves to what they're losing their balance with nature. But they might be a little more they might be a little more spicy or something. They might be a little bit more of perhaps the chaos energy without intending to be. I don't think it hurts to have our feathers ruffled with a certain energy that challenges us. But I feel that they're needing to connect with this love. And so let's go these Connaught ones that travel in the groups. Oh, they're pretty powerful healers. And they immediately go to the Munsters because they have a hard time seeing them. And I give them the frequency of these Munsters so that they can always find them. And Munsters get really angry about that. And I say, you can't hide anymore. Not from your family. Human beings, we have a lot to learn and we have a lot of growing to do. But don't hide from your family. And these Munsters are starting to become different. It's almost like their bodies changed and they're starting to open their eyes in a new way. They're starting to release a lot of their inner fears. And it comes out weird like a burp. And it's like a burp with a lot of smog in it. And it starts to come out and they look like kind of insectoid, like they don't look like mini humans or anything. Kind of like red bugs. And they just do these long burps and they get very, very tired and they become like clothes, just kind of scattered very thin. And these Connaught ones are really powerful healers because they're smiling and they cherish their task. Their purpose is to bring the balance back, to collect the pieces. They're really excellent medicine for that. And these Meaths, none of these others have anything against the Munsters. None of them do. some monsters that are the ones that need the healing the most. They're like the Gilgamesh that needs to heal from the inside out. And we can't ever give up on our family. And sometimes when we are afraid to face the family that loves us or the people that love us most because maybe we've been through a hard time or we lost ourselves along the way, like that family love is so powerful. Um, and I mean, it's a different, we're in a human world. So sometimes our family, we would like for them to love us the way these leprechauns love us, you know, and love each other. Might not be the case. But there's something powerful for at least this Munster clan that their family loves them. And let the love of your family in and let it heal you. And I start to see all the clans start to circle around the Munster who cannot run and hide. And that they're returning to the family, they're returning to the harmony of the leprechaun spirit. And it's pretty it's like a long lost child, you know, returning home. That's what it feels like. They went through their own experience, their own branch of the tree, and they found their own path, and it was hard. And they're coming back from that path to reconcile and understand themselves. So that's what I experience here from this Munster clan. Huh. Wow, interesting, huh? And I got a lot to think about. I really enjoyed this experience. Thank you guys so much for coming. And I hope you're all doing well. Bye for now.